I can't hear you.
Um,
Okay, now I can hear you.
okay.
You were
And
silent.
so I will turn it over to my amazing, extraordinary, informed beyond belief guest, the one, the only, incredible, insightful Emery Smith.
Well, thank you, Michael. Thanks for inviting me to your podcast. We've been speaking behind the scenes for a while, and I've been trying to, been so busy with everything. I get just requests all day long with podcasts. And this year I decided to start doing podcasts again. I took about a 5 year break from, conventions and stuff, just focusing on our spaceship healing experience clinic and other missions and things that we're doing to help the world, but this is a good year and I'm excited to break it in with you.
Well, I appreciate that. And one question I'm not sure if you've ever been asked, but what do you think was about you that you were selected to be the one to bridge like the alien or star being genetics healing with mankind?
Well, I'm a pretty spiritual, religious person, and I believe that this was also a decision I made on the flip side before I got here. And I think everyone has volunteered to be here in some fashion or another to, no matter what you do, everyone's here for a reason in some fashion to escalate, people's lives and karma and also accelerate the consciousness of the planet. So now that I didn't know that growing up, but I think now it's just, there was no coincidence the way my life unfolded. And I had a beautiful, amazing, incredible life that I'm just very thankful to be here, to be the conduit for the consciousness community and the extraterrestrial community and planet Earth and supporting planet Earth and the protection of it and all of our inner Earth as well beings. And there's a lot going on, in this dimension that is affecting everyone on multiple dimensions. So I'm very proud to be here. I don't know. I don't think it was like some higher source was saying you are the one to do this because we are kind of all one. So I'm basically talking to myself here with everyone, and and that's where this comes in on a different level because you have to own up to what your position is, and you have to be accountable for why you're here and what you're going to do with your life. Doesn't mean you throw everything away. You still have to enjoy life. You still that's why you're here. You have to enjoy this, this amazing, chaotic, insane experience. But to me, it's controlled chaos, and I'm very comfortable being here and working with individuals like yourself that want to get messages out, and that's a very important position for many people like yourself out there to understand. You do have a mission, and that mission is the truth, and being diligent and vigilant to the world out there because you have a voice and people are listening to that.
Well, thank you. And I I feel miffed if I wouldn't ask with the cost of coming forward as a whistleblower and insider. Would you do it again?
I better have some nano blue for this one. After of course it was not easy. I cringe at my early seasons 1 through 10 on Gaia TV. I was scared shitless, and it was very scary. I had to come forward. I was targeted for assassination many times, and the next time was going to be for real. And it really wasn't about the ET stuff. It was about some energy projects I was working on. So I would definitely do this again. I would not change anything in my life, especially the hard times, because that's what made me who I am today. And this is what sculpted me into being this ambassador and leader of this world and the universe. So I really believe that this had to happen. All the bad stuff, the good stuff, these tragedies that I have endured through my life were really necessary to be the leader that I am today. And it was quite a challenging life. But like I say, I look at it, very optimistic with the future, and looking back at that, I might have not liked something at that time, but the amount of knowledge that I learned from my mistakes, and also being attacked, and being in those situations, really gave me a better perspective on being able to relate to human people, human beings, and animals, and extraterrestrials. And I think there is a thing we of course say in the gym: no pain, no gain. And I really push that in the conscious network that's out there, because a lot of healers and conscious people out there are going through horrible times, and they have been through horrible times. And you're still here listening to me and my voice on this podcast. So think about that for a second, no matter what your age is, because just when you think you couldn't make it through, look at you're still here, and that's a blessing. That you have to be aware of, be thankful, and have a lot of gratitude for that. So that's kind of my thing with this.
I agree. And my mom and I, we like to laughingly say, look at, life growing up and our time versus where we are today. All the stuff that we've survived and we're still here. That's an amazing feat in itself. So I think that's becoming more prevalent with a lot of people now that are, as they say, waking up. Not, and I'm not meaning going woke. I mean waking up to their energy within, so
Right.
to speak. Yeah. And one thing that I find curious with all that you're doing and everything, how did Emery's Spaceship Healing Experience Center get started, and what's your mission for that?
Oh, wow, that's super deep. I went into the military believing I was going to be a pilot, and I went into medical instead, and I still became a pilot after. So it was great to have all these things happen. And my whole life is based off of healing others and giving back to others and sharing the knowledge that I have gathered in the projects and in the military, and even today in secret, in the background of the secret medical community. That this information needs to be out there. We don't need to be suffering. That also goes for the planet and taking care of the planet and the oceans. So I think this was inspiring, and I've been talking about making an experimental prototype clinic of the future for quite some time, and it is quite very challenging. Here I am right now at 54 years of age, on chronological Earth. I'm actually in DNA wise, I'm around 32, but it actually really is important, because I had to go through a lot of different, not just training and knowledge based things to before, because I was ready to do this a long time ago, but the world's not ready for it, because the technologies that we're bringing forward in Emery Smith's spaceship healing experience is it's beyond the modern medical technology that we utilize today. And there's a problem with a lot of the engineers and inventors like myself that are out there that have developed amazing technologies and med beds and cures with a K and things like that are out there. And I do have to say a disclaimer: anything I talk about medically, none of this is here to treat or cure any disease. Please contact your medical practitioner for that. All the stuff I'm talking about is experimental. So use your own discretion. So I think when everything was unfolding throughout the years. And seeing like, okay, because there's a way, you know, being this cosmic architect that I am, you know, I have to look into and plan for 10, 20, 30, 40 years of where that timelines and where we are consciously that the world's going to accept these types of technologies. And a lot of these engineers and myself, we have lots of amazing stuff, but you know, it's not, you know, in a way that we can release it, because a lot of the science is kept secret. And you know, you'll be slapped with a National Security Act. I have many patents. You know, I developed the first tabletop stem cell platelet-rich plasma concentrator, and you know, that was really hard getting, you know, going through that process and being attacked, and finally standard of care today, and saved a lot of people's limbs and lives with this technology. So now we're like, a lot of people, oh yeah, well, we have these devices, but we don't want to go, you know, patent them or anything, because that would be, you know, a red flag for some. So the thing is, we utilize, you know, many practitioners that are out there, clinical specialists and practitioners out there that are, you know, heavily licensed and, you know, well trained, and, you know, MDs and PhDs. And these people and go out there and they test, you know, some of our technologies under their own, you know, licensing, you know, format, and they come up with things that, by the way, did you know that your system does this and this and this to the patient? This is fantastic. And I think what, you know, people don't understand is every new medical technology started the same way. Someone had to try it to test it. So it's not like, you know, I'm not going to talk about the three-letter agencies responsible for approving things and things like that. I'm not bashing anyone, because they have to, you know, do their due diligence and have their own, you know, they're protecting, they're believing they're protecting people, and you know, that's another program format, just like education is today. So this came about over, you know, 30 years, and now we're at a spot right now where we're exactly where we want to be. You know, we have the Las Vegas International Spaceport that we just got approved for with Rob Lauer, which, you know, I'm heavily involved with. And I'm excited about this. And so we're going to be developing out there. This is an area, you know, 300 acres out by between what is right now the Harry Reid International Airport and Pahrump in Nevada. And it's the first civilian-owned airport. And it's going to be an international airport and a spaceport. And it was approved. So it's like this amazing unfolding, because that airspace also out there is controlled, you know, by that privately, because you can't do anything in Las Vegas because of Harry Reid International Airport. Nellis Air Force Base controls everything in Area 51 out there. And so there's a lot going on. So this guy was able to do this, and, you know, I'll be doing updates on this next week and letting everyone know if they want to be part of that, because you have a chance, a very small chance, a small window to be part of it. And I'm going to share that with everyone, because I think everyone wants to have a legacy here, and being part of something that I've been trying to build for my whole life is now here. And now we get to do something and be part of that. I think that might have answered the question, Michael.
No, thank you for that. And you know, you bring up the Las Vegas spaceport, and I'm curious with, you know, all that's going on in that area. How, you know, how much are you going to be able to actually, like, go into space, so to speak, or
Oh, wow.
space
Yeah.
because of it being
Okay.
a
Let me get
spaceport?
into, okay. So, you know, our facility, you know, confirmation complete. Those are the dragons. RTTU. You know, so our facility is going to be out at this, you know, this futuristic spaceport, and they're putting up, it's going to be the first academy for civilians to do astronaut training. Now he has 2 fighter jets already there. Darla and I went and looked at them the other day. We're gonna go up in them in a couple weeks and fly these babies around. And there's some Russian trainers, L-47s. So these are where people can go and actually, ride in these jets. Like usually you have to go to Russia to, fly in the MiGs and stuff. So this is also a great place to fly in and get some, go exo-atmospheric and see what's going on. And yeah, the rockets that'll be taking off here, you'll be able to get to Sydney, Australia in 45 minutes, because you're going exo-atmospheric, 85,000 feet and coming straight down in Australia. So world travel in the future is going to be like this. And it's not going to be $200,000, $500,000, $1.2 million per ticket, just like our flights, in the 50s and stuff. And, even when, flight travel in Europe from the US, that was costing around what today's cost would be, around $500,000 to fly around. And now look at it today. You can hop on a flight from New York to London for less than 500. So this is where it's going, and it's really exciting because it opens up a lot of travel for people to integrate. And integration is an important thing. And integration is a type of training that we had to go through with extraterrestrials to integrate peacefully. And that's a big thing. There's a lot of communication errors in politics in the world today, and that's most wars all start because there was a lapse in communication. So I think this is a great thing for that, to open up new travel and to get places and experience things, and even experiencing sacred spots, and for teaching universities and for archaeological expeditions. It's going to be really amazing. So you will be, they're going to do this amazing academy, and it is a military type of academy. It's not military, but I mean, like, military privately owned. That's very strict, and you can take these courses and become an astronaut there. And I think that is what's really needed, because so many people really want to go and be astronauts. And this is another sensitive thing. And I think it needs to break away from the military industrial complex and the few leaders out there that have, that actually have spacecraft that are going up, and it shouldn't be limited. So I think that's great. And with our self-sustainable, Emery's spaceship healing experience, we're going to branch off of that. And that's going to be also another academy. And this is going to be a type of medical academy where we are teaching all the new dynamics of healing. Because you can't learn what I've learned in the projects with frequency healing out there anywhere. And that needs to be done. And there's enough data out there now to prove that frequency healing does work. And we use a lot of frequency stuff actually in the medical field already. So it's just bridging that gap. And because for me, education is the key for everything. Knowledge and education is what's going to allow the new star seeds that are coming into this planet, and the ones that have just been born, a place where they can go and not be brainwashed by, the modern educational platform. And there needs to be another format out there that allows for the free thinking and the experiencing of different technologies and techniques. For there's not, just because you've been doing something your whole life this certain way doesn't mean that's the only way. And we should be able to speak freely about that and not be condemned because we came up with an amazing technology. And yeah, go ahead and test it and get your independent testing done. I think this is really important. And so this self-sustainable community that's branching off of the spaceship healing facility is also going to have many different aspects to it. So there's going to be a self-sustainable community. We're going to have our own communications out there. So there's not going to be any 5G, 4G, 6G. It's a completely new prototype civilization that we're going to be building out there. And this is going to be a prototype, so this can be duplicated all around the world. So we have a lot of the world leaders on board with this, and scientists out there already. So we're not asking for anything. We're privately funding this, ourselves, and it's quite an extraordinary undertaking, to say the least. And it doesn't happen overnight. So there's different phases. We have so many different phases to not just the airport and the spaceport, and the healing experience center, and the self-sustainable community. So yeah, to answer your question, they are definitely going to be taking up people probably this year in those jets, and starting to break ground on this airport. And this is a really great breakthrough for all aeronautic aviation people. Even the big industrial corporations are very interested in this, because it's also a testing facility for drones, because they have the airspace that they control for that. So rocket testing, rocket races, air races, it's going to be just a plethora mega hub out there in 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years and beyond. And I think it's just we're just really thankful to be part of that. And like I said, I'm definitely going to be going live next week to share how you can be involved. Anyone, that's right, anyone. And this is going to be something I think is really going to shock the world, to have a safe place where scientists can go and um, speak freely, number one, and share their findings. Because it's far and few between that these types of places where you can go and do that. Conferences are great, but having a main hub is even better, for really getting good sourced material in a stable place that we can share around the world, including virtual reality classes and virtual reality spacecraft, where we can walk you through the spacecraft and teach you, how to live on a spacecraft, how to fly a spacecraft, how to repair the spacecraft, and so forth.
Wow, it sounds amazing. And to me, what was coming to mind as I was hearing all this is a precursor, a foundation for the future. Like everyone talks about the Star Trek future.
Yeah,
What you're building sounds like the precursor or foundation for like Starfleet Academy.
it is. That's what it is. And we're talking. Everyone knows we're talking about the Las Vegas International Spaceport that's just been approved, and also Emery's Spaceship Healing Experience, Self-Sustainable Community Academy and Clinic. This, yeah, so this definitely is in alignment with that.
And Kim Ashton Disclosure is asking if you can answer, how long is the program and do you graduate in a certain amount of time, or do you just come and take classes at your leisure?
Yeah, it is an in-house program. So for the astronaut program, I do believe there's a couple of different segments to that. I don't know Kim. Hi, Kim, by the way. Kim's great. Yeah, I don't know the particulars yet. This is still just groundbreaking. Just totally, just happened within the last few months here. So I do believe he said, don't quote me, but I know there's probably a 4-year class, 4-year degree, and there's an expedited one that's 2 years. And it means you would have to, of course, be here. It's not an online course kind of thing. I think they're going to have that down the road. My medical clinical academy will definitely have a lot of online courses and stuff before you have to do the hands-on. So yeah, so that's where it's at, Kim. There's different types of degrees that they are going to be offering there, but I think from start to finish, it was like 4 years for the degree one, and just to get the clinical payload, the payload specialist one, like the one I went through with NASA, was about 2 years. So, but we'll keep you informed. That's a great question. I'll ask him today when I meet with them at our meeting tonight. I have it up on YouTube, but I can't get on and see any of the questions. But I can see right here on the comments, Michael. So. Oh, did it freeze? Oh, Michael froze, I think. You guys hear me? Okay. I'm assuming you guys can hear me. Michael disappeared. So that's what's going on, and that's really exciting. And there's so many people involved, and they're all great people on the board there. They're all former military, and it's just really beautiful. Hey, Rachel, how you doing? Yeah, I think he's frozen. So, well, I'll tell you, we do have the new website up, and emerystarlabs.com. I'll write it down here if you guys want to check it out. Register. We still have emerysmith.co. Oh, no. My gosh. No. Well, you guys can hear me, right? Okay. Well, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. On another note, check out Cosmic Disclosure on Gaia TV. I've been filming there, oh my gosh, almost a decade here. I can't believe it. It's still going. We just made a bunch of new episodes in December. We filmed. It was great. You can go to my website and sign up at emerystarlabs.com or emerysmith.co. Oh, there he is. Michael, what happened? You dematerialized on me.
I don't know. It was the strangest thing. All of a sudden, my computer goes, something went wrong, and I was out and finally able to get back in. And so I so apologize. I do not know what happened with the Wi-Fi, but thank you for staying with us.
Yeah, no, I didn't go. I got your back. Don't worry. I was trying to post some things, but it says Cosmic Television Network was blocked by you.
I did not block you.
Oh my goodness.
It could be that I've had this happen before, and you have to unblock the browser on your end.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well,
but
I've seen that it did happen. It did happen to us before too. I don't know why that happens. I think we're the same thing. There must be a block on it or something on my side.
And so
yeah, I was just updating them a little bit more.
Okay. And one question I have for you that I'm really curious about is, do you think your experiences in the programs when you were growing up was like a stepping board or a training board for you to be able to step into what you're doing now in such a confident way that you're like, yes, this is ET. Okay, yes, I can handle this, no problem. And you're not sitting there, your mind going, I'm handling what?
Yeah, I wasn't too surprised. I think definitely my upbringing with my family on this amazing self-sustainable farm and having really great teachers, I think definitely it had a lot to do with that because, I was a go-getter and I couldn't sit still and I wanted to, join the Air Force, fly jets. I wanted to know what was the prerequisites? Is there anything I can take, courses before I go in, join the auxiliary of the Air Force, 6 years, let me see, 5 years before, I graduated. I did the Army ROTC. I joined every type of adventure program, um, every type of flight program that they were offering for teenagers. So I think my dad was in the Navy. His dad was in the Army. I didn't experience the brat thing because he was already out when they had me. But it was that kind of mentality that, yeah, I'm going to go, protect my country. I was very, we were very patriotic. And I think a lot of this training definitely was stepping stools because they saw how driven I was. They also knew that I was having experiences on the farm with extraterrestrial contact. They probably knew my family already had contact, which I was unaware of at the time, which I didn't find out till way down the road. So this was, probably something that they were looking for. I don't believe it was they were following me from birth or anything. Could have been, I don't know. I just know that there was things presented to me throughout my high school and throughout my training in the military that allowed me to have access to these special access programs, which I was heavily involved with during my active duty service membership. So I think these are really key things that led me to, actually try to find out more about, what's out there, what's going on. And I was addicted to the programs. I was addicted to learning all these amazing technologies and all these different types of, knowledge, basically.
So I'm curious, with your being Air Force, and thank you for your service.
Thank
And
you.
I know the sacrifices that came with. My dad was Navy, so thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. And it leads me to a question I have a curiosity about, and that is I've watched like the Stargate SG1, and all those series, and I find it interesting that it's the Air Force that is in control of the gate and going and bringing these technologies back and everything. Do, are you aware of those shows, and how, in your opinion,
I've
accurate are
actually,
they?
yeah, I mean, people ask me, unfortunately, when that was going on, I was in the military. I wasn't a big, I didn't watch Stargate. I was old school 70s, 80s with Star Trek and Star Wars. But the Stargate program, that whole show, from what people are telling me, I think I've maybe watched one or two episodes my whole life, definitely reflects on, what we were doing in the military. And it depends on the location of these Stargates, what organization, what military is going to be controlling that. And, there's the portals all around the planet. Some are man-made. I've done many shows on this on Cosmic Disclosure, on Gaia TV, that you can go back and look at some of the older years, um, 6, 7, 8 years ago. And I speak about my experiences with Stargates and portal technology. They haven't quite perfected it yet when I went out, when I got out of the military. So from 90 to the late 90s, they were still experimenting with that kind of thing. And I was definitely involved on that, a few missions. It was an amazing experience. So portals, definitely exist. This whole talk about, spending all this money on spaceships and, traveling to Mars and the moon and beyond, I don't see it that way in the future. And I have a lot of disagreements with that. Not to say they won't be created, these spaceships, but because I know portal technology and time travel is already in existence, you won't need to jump on a big space freightliner to go somewhere, because you're already there with this technology. And that's what we're talking about, the spaceport, and we're going up in a rocket, ancient archaic technology, or coming down in this area. I laugh about it because I know what we already have and what I've already seen and what I've already experienced firsthand. So it's hard for me to like get too excited about these things when we know that portal technology exists. You can walk into an energetic field and arrive anywhere, in the universe. So that it's even easier on the planet Earth because of special energies and vortexes that have been planted here for millions and millions and millions of years. So there's portals that are already here that are dormant, and then there's portals that are in sacred places that they build man-made portals on top of to harvest those energies and try to control it. And so these are very active things that are going on right now and has been going on at least since I've been in since 1990. So I think there's a lot of perfection that has happened with that. Most advanced extraterrestrial spacecraft are time traveling dimensional craft. So they're interdimensional craft. They're they can time travel in there. They use their own portal technology. They can make a portal in front of them, pop out here, and that's why you see them on the radars. First they're in New York, and then they're in the Keys, and then they're in China. They can just hop around like this and move at incredible speeds. They're in their own density field, their own dimensional density field. So it's easy science for a lot of people to understand that are into quantum physics and energy, electrogravitic energies and things like this. It's awesome. And I think this technology is going to come out probably sooner than we have all the spacecraft. I mean, spacecraft are so cool, so fun that I love all the movies and the shows. I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of spacecraft, both ours and theirs. So I'm pretty certain that they have already reverse engineered most of that technology. And what we see flying around here, probably 95% of the UFOs are just our reverse engineered technology from them. And then that other 5% are definitely them. They don't want to be seen. They're not going to be seen. But they do fall under the laws of our 3D dimensional hologram world. So they can be shot down. They're not bulletproof, and they can sustain injuries. And this is part of my work in the projects was organ harvesting, dissecting, tissue sampling of I'll just say tissues of unknown origin. And being on a lot of these crash retrievals really opened my eyes to see that, wow, these are things that are really in existence and which I knew about, but I didn't know the scope of how often that we do, obtain craft and life forms. And that's what was really cool. And we have life forms that, already here. Many extraterrestrials, millions and millions of them are already here working with us. Even in the projects, we have them. They're volunteers. They're not like some captured ones that were like holding and forcing them to do anything. That's changed a lot over the years. And then you have genetic hybridization programs that are really weird, very odd. That's happening, and it's it's kind of weird, but this is going on all over the place, and it has been for quite some time.
Thank you. And I'm curious with your academy and the work that you've done in the past. Do you feel like any of it is tied to the inner Earth aspect, or were they all the extraterrestrial off-worlders?
You mean you talking about the current academy? What do you mean?
I'm meaning like in the future, if you
Uh,
see like it helping to bridge the gap between inner Earth and our realm, but then also your work where you were handed unknown origins. Do you feel like all of those were off world, or do you think there's a possibility
oh
it could have
yeah,
been
no, I
inner
mean,
Earth?
yeah, I mean, it's definitely could be from off-world, on-world, and definitely inner Earth. And on top of that, could have been just a hybrid that they grew locally, I'll say. and we were, doing sampling of that. So there's many, right? That's definitely a good question. Many different aspects of those tissue samples and body samples were a plethora of different areas. Talking about inner Earth, I do believe that, inner Earth is biting at the bit to make contact. We might have inner Earth contact way before we have interstellar contact. So, the contact, is already here. People are already making contact. And so are, the underground institutions. The thing is, when will that become public, and who's going to be the first one to do it, and how are they going to do it so it doesn't shock the world too much where they go into, this big denial, cataclysmic phase? Or is there a cataclysmic event that happens where they come and rescue us? That would be great, because then we would accept it, because, half the planet has just perished. So there's different scenarios that are out there, but I do believe the inner Earth, beings are just kind of fed up with us because we're poisoning the topsoil, and it's not fair to the ecosystem. There's ecosystems in inner Earth that are being affected by what we do up here, and we're killing inner Earth life. So this is a big deal. We're not supposed to do that. Most civilizations in the universe are not into destroying and killing life forms, because there's no need to. And that's why our conscious levels really need to get up into a state that we can be, more mindful of ourselves and our neighbors, including the life that's on topsoil here on planet Earth, on Terra. But inside Earth are many different types of societies and races of beings that have been here way longer than we have. And, they are dealing with, what they would say, what their legal laws and limits of consciousness is, of exposing that. And I think, there's a lot, people always just say, we need it now. It's, we got to have all this. And the majority of the planet is ready for contact, full contact. But there's a lot going on that needs to be rerouted and changed over. There needs to be a turning of the guard. And that turning of the guard is happening. It's been happening, especially the past 5 years. We've seen many underground facilities get blown up. We've seen, and that was done from within. Those are the white hats within going, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to blow this place up, including Denver International Airport. So the underground facility there. And many places that no one, a lot of you don't even hear about. We hear about it in the underground. And this is a great sign of a kind of a cosmic consciousness rebellion that is happening. And people are starting to listen. These other, dark forces are listening to this. But there is dark forces, and these are energies that do not have our best interest at hand. And we deal with them. All of you out there listening to this deal with this every day. And it can come across in many different ways. Entities flow in and out of the human etheric energetic field, like fog and raindrops, out in nature. And you have to protect yourself. Protection, being aware of that, and living a divine life is very important. And I think a lot of people get down in the dumps when they don't see this their type of their definition of a disclosure happen right away. And that's okay, but what does that serve anyone by getting all angry and upset about that? Look at all the stuff that has happened. I mean, 10 years ago, when I came forward, and everything I said, thank God that's all recorded on Gaia TV. Everything I said on all those seasons all came true today. So now it's like, oh, he was really right. Oh, he was talking about it. But it's been a rough ride for 10 years. A lot of people didn't want to do business with me. A lot of family members didn't want to talk to me. Friends dropped me. Thought I was, crazy. And now here it is, all these other whistleblowers are coming out. And I don't consider myself a whistleblower because I wasn't in when I came out with it. I did this 20 years later when I knew it was going to be safe. And I didn't say everything. I just said some of the things just to get them off my back, and that's what happened. So yeah, we have this great awakening is happening, and it's lovely. I see it every day, and you got to cherish those small things that you see out there. The media is really bad for people, and it's all this stuff going on, all this drama is always going on, and it's not just it. Yeah, maybe that is happening, but it's more of a diversion. Let's talk about this person over here being kidnapped for 3 weeks, but over here, all this is going on. There's lots of different things like that in the media that happen all the time. And the media is also a program. Your TV, radio stations now have been hijacked. Frequencies can be put through your MP3 players that are hit to the internet. Subliminal messages through frequencies and mind control can affect all of your loved ones and yourself. How many times have you said, man, I can't believe that person just said that to me? That doesn't make sense. They're not like that. Yeah, they're not like that because it's not them. And this is happening, worldwide. And we're seeing the reports of this. And, a lot of these infectious negative energies, can definitely have an easier access to the body if you're not healthy, if you're doing drugs, if you're drinking excessively. All these things open up your fields, so these things can come in and really derail, your life, because there are energetic forces that do milk off of the pain. And this happens, every time I go public. There's going to be, I might have 15,000 people watching. There's always going to be one or two haters on there that doesn't make any sense. They're saying negative things. So it's like to be expected, when you have 90 million followers. So this is one of these things that it's happening on all scales of life, from all races on this planet Earth, everywhere. So this is something that I think people just need to be more aware of, and not let that happen, and demand that out loud. Do your affirmations. I don't want anything negative in my life that doesn't serve myself or my higher self, and bring in the light. Someone said here earlier about the light. Is healing done through the light body, physical body, or both? It all starts with the light body. You are light, But before that, there's this thing, it's called sound. Sound before form, and light is form. So sound and light are frequencies that we use at Emery Star Labs. So check out emerystarlabs.com. We have developed a frequency device that has over 3 million different frequencies that we have gathered from Rife and other nonlinear systems from around the world. And we put them into one system. And just with a photograph, we can take your picture or a fingernail sample or a hair sample and measure that crystalline structure of your DNA or the photons coming off the picture, and have an exact hard drive of everything going on in your body. The same thing we do at the James Webb Telescope is we take a picture of a planet light year away, and we get those photons, and through a special type of hydrogen carbon frequency thing that we have developed, we split out all these atomic structures into frequencies. So your face is a hard drive, and your aura of energy coming off you has all the information we need to find out, what type of viruses, bacteria, parasites, molds, and funguses you're carrying that's causing your cancers and things like that. So we, specialize in these scans, which are also treatments, where we send in scalar and photometry waves, and that's already proven out there. Check out Tom Bearden's book, Oblivion. Scalar and photometry has been around for quite a while as a science. It can be used to heal someone. It could be used to kill someone. So, that's also what's a safety issue with a lot of technologies that are out there. A lot of these amazing technologies are great for healing the earth and people and the world, but they also can be switched the other way and used in a very negative fashion. So getting through that is another, challenge that we have. And we're looking forward to answering those challenges to the world, because everyone should have, access to the best health and the best medical programs and technology that's out there. In the future, everyone will be their own physician in their home to an extent, and that goes for a lot of extraterrestrial civilizations. Most 8-year-olds, extraterrestrials already, can perform surgery if need be, and of course, they have a lot more different types of technology than we do.
And I'm curious, as we're talking about, healing the light body and everything, how much of it is really we just have been trained, we can isolate the frequency, change the frequency, make it now healthy, and the body automatically implements the new frequency and gets rid of it.
Yeah, like our new med beds that we have been developing and developed, and other engineers have developed this as well, that we're in contact with. It's all about frequency, and it's really simple. You don't need a giant, big med bed pod. It's pretty simple. Haramoto, when he took the water and he wrote love on it and then he flash froze it, and it's this beautiful, snowflake crystal. They put hate on one and it's this, nasty little crustoided looking crystal. That is really so true. And that's why it's so important not to curse anyone. Because curse, the word, like curse word, it's a curse, and it is a reflection, that vibration of that word on someone, even if they can't hear it, disrupts that person's energy levels and in their technology and their hard drive of their crystalline structure of their DNA. So it's really awesome that you brought this up, because I want to say I'm so proud I've made all these devices and I can do all of this, but you can ask any of my patients that I have, helped tremendously. What do I tell them? I say, first of all, get on some really great water. Second of all, get outside and ground yourself for 10 minutes a day. Get outside, look at the sun for 10 minutes, okay? Preferably in the morning. Do something for yourself once a week, okay? A lot of, diseases that we see here are basically emotional based, karmatic, lineage based, that the body does need a reset. And frequency, and we specialize in photonic light therapy. When we take water, like when we do this big scan on you, it takes 8 hours to do the scan. You don't even need to be present, okay, because we have your DNA, we have your picture. It takes 8 hours to scan, shoots out 4,000, 3,000 to 4,000 pages of, information. It takes us 2 weeks to read this. And then we call you up, send you a copy of the top 100, we triage it. And then we go through it with you and teach you about your body and where it came from, these parasites, or where all this stuff has come from, these diseases. And then we make you these tinctures. And this is where it gets, to your question. We get 4-state plasma purified water, and we enter it into the system, and we holographically imprint that water with your DNA frequency and the frequency of an antidote for the culprit. Maybe you have liver disease. Maybe you have amoeba gingivalis that we need to get rid of. So we make all these tinctures too that come with, we send to you, and then you take them morning and night just for 10 to 14 days in these little dropper bottles, and they're all just for that patient. And there it goes away. So frequency definitely is going to be the future of healing, where we're not going to have to go in and even do certain repairs. Now, I'm all for, traumatic medicine. If something, find me, shot up or on the side of the road in a car accident, please take me and get me help. We don't have the technologies out there yet, but the technologies out there to 3D print people's organs and to do all the stuff that they've been doing now for 20 years is also frequency based. So we can take a picture, of your liver and get the frequencies off that, in the classified projects, that is, and go ahead and rebuild that same liver for you with your crystalline structure frequency. So frequency definitely is the most coolest thing ever. If you're interested in any of these scans, go to emerystarlabs.com. You can also write into emerystarscan@gmail.com. Maybe you can write that in there for me, Michael. emerystarscan@gmail.com and emerystarscan@gmail.com, and then emerystarlabs.com is the website. And yeah, drop us a line and we'll go over it with you. It's really fantastic. It's a great investment because it gives you a baseline of what's going on with you. And, you know, we have a huge team. It's not just a simple thing. This is a big deal when you invest in this. And it's just amazing. And people, anyone that's on here that has had a scan, please chime in. It is one of the most enlightening, you know, wake up calls in the world. And these are things that we really want to do, you know, for the world and get this out to the public so everyone has access to this. And the training behind, you know, getting to do one of these things, you know, I had trained my wife on this, you know, 5 years ago. She far exceeded me in the knowledge based with it. She took it to a whole nother level. You have to have a medical background, number one. You know, she's been a registered nurse for over 30 years. And everyone knows I'm a clinical practitioner as well. So it's one of these things where you have to have a medical background and understanding basic, you know, anatomy and physiology. It really helps. You know, I worked at infectious disease control for the military for many years to understand all the different pathogens and things like that. And you know what a red blood cell is, let's just say. So the third thing that you really need to have is you gotta be clairvoyant. You have to be psychic because these programs work on a level of Reiki as well, not just, you know, scientific with scalar cosmotic energies. We also use the person who's flying around in your body for, you know, 7 days and finding all these things. You know, we can see something that'll come up on a scan. It might be, I'll say the liver again. We'll zoom in on that red flag, and then we say, oh, it's the hepatic artery. We zoom in again. In the artery, it's in the artery wall. We zoom in again. We find an outbreak of Klebsiella pneumonia in there, or Aspergillus fumigatus, and it's going crazy in there. It's just out of control. The body can't handle it. Cancer cells start to form around this and to isolate the outbreak of these viruses, bacteria, and parasites. The cancers are all formed because the cancers are trying to protect the body from these outbreaks of this, you know, like I said, viruses, bacteria, parasites, molds, and funguses. And that's it. We make the frequency, you know, opposite frequency to that, and we zap them. So we're actually zapping you no matter where you're at on the planet, and killing these things down to about 10% level. We can't go more than 10% because it'll start affecting the other organs. And then usually the body will overcome that and fix itself. But we also have things like the Aquafarine Nano Blue. So we have lots of solutions online too. The Aquafarine Nano Blue, the secret to this is really not the blue that's in here. It's really the smallest particle of nano zinc. Zinc is really great for you, 0.2 nanometers. And when zinc, we knew zinc was great, but it's just the body can't digest it. It's hard to get into the cell. But if you shrink it up like we did, we use very high voltage magnetrons and magnetic devices that, you know, help us do this. So it's beyond a colloidal. And these small particles of the silver, of the zinc and other elements that we have are able to not just go through the cell membrane to help the cell or to, you know, kill the bacteria, but it goes into the cellular membrane, nucleus, nucleolus, DNA, RNA, chromosomes. So it goes in there and repairs all of this stuff. And, you know, the great thing about all the ingredients, you guys can look it up at emerystarlabs.com, the Aquafarine Nano Blue, 1 ounce a day. You check it out because it goes through a crystalline structure too. So we program it with 40 different crystals. It goes through the rainbow light frequency generator. So we have all the rainbow color light frequencies in that water. We also do the null geo frequencies. Yeah, it's some amazing stuff, and this is all natural stuff that's found on elements on the periodic table that have been shown um, to do amazing healing properties. I'm not saying my stuff does that. I'm saying the elements that are in here and the ingredients do have been proven to do stuff like that. So, and then we have the nano emerald green. A lot of you guys love this. The nano emerald green is also made with clenitrazines, and that comes from jellyfish. And no jellyfish was injured for this, by the way. Um, and this brings light. Someone talked about the light body. See that? It glows with a black light. Yeah, it glows.
Mhm.
And it brings light into the DNA to repair it and protect it from different types of 5G, 6G, Wi-Fi stuff. Um, it doesn't do like 100% or anything, but it can do around 60% average, and you can actually put that in front of your Wi-Fi router and it blocks it 100%. And I had a great patient of mine and a good friend that made a video of that, and it was really neat. So there's lots of different things, on that website you guys can look at for your health. We also have serums, the Nano Blue serum. These are all anti-infective and anti-regeneration. I mean, regeneration, not anti-regeneration. This is a collagen synthesis factor. So, I mean, you can look at my skin; it looks great. This is probably one of our biggest things because it's just everyone puts these in their go bag. You have a scratch, you have an itch, and I recommend morning and night for the face to rebuild the collagen and increase angiogenesis, which is the formation of new blood vessels. Um, we also have a regenerate skin spray and hairspray, and that's how all my hair grew back. It's amazing stuff. Check it out online. We have the 5G spray. This is just something you spray on before you go out, especially if you're going on an airplane. We swear by this because Darla and I use this every day because we travel a lot, and this is the Ormalite nasal spray. So there is um, it has the nano zinc in it, number one, and it's got nano silver. It has all the colloidals in it. But the secret is a zeolite that's in here. And the zeolite that we have in all of our products comes from an area where a meteorite hit in Texas and molded with a zeolite mine. So there's two minerals in there that we don't know. It's unknown. Um, and we believe it has some amazing frequency. So the frequency of these things, so it's not just the physicality of it, but the frequencies that we programmed into these waters also emit energies to protect the fields of energy that you're susceptible to, which is being on an airplane, getting nuked, microwaves and Wi-Fi's and 5 and 6Gs. But if you need more information, like I said, it's on the website, or you can always write into me directly. Okay, Emery Star Scan at gmail.com or emerystarlabs@gmail.com. And I'd be more than happy to help you with that.
Thank you. And we are actually a little bit over the hour.
That's okay. Does anyone have any other questions before we wrap this beautiful day up, Michael?
There isn't really a question in the chat room, but I did have a question in my when you were talking about all of this is when we are traveling and say we're in say the Caribbean and we don't have because we can't carry like vials over a certain amount, so we don't have access to the products. Can we in our mind go, oh, here is the product that I need, and be able to infuse it in and the body get all that it needs from it? Or do you really need to have it in hand?
Absolutely. I think, this is a great question because, yeah, I have all the answers for all your health reasons. That's me. I'm Emery Smith. I'm that cocky about it because I take on the worst cases on the planet. 60% of my patients are doctors and their families. Okay, what's that tell you? This is very serious because You have, what I tell everyone, I have a lot of people writing, when's the med bed coming out? When's the med bed coming out? And there's like all these crazy med beds out there are claiming to be med beds. It's a bunch of sound and lights, okay? And it's not the ones you guys see on the, in Hollywood, these crazy machines coming down and all this stuff. And I want to tell everyone one thing, and I know my team knows this is coming out of my mouth right now. It's funny. I feel their energy. You are the med bed. How about that? Yeah, you're the med bed. And once you find out that you are the med bed and that you control your cells and your DNA, you can do a lot with your body. These are great stepping tools to get there because these things open up your mind. These things help decalcify the pineal gland. These help raise your voltage so your cells can finally communicate because you have havoc going on in your body. I don't care if you're the most organic eater, the best yogi, whatever you're doing. There's always an energy alignment that you have to continually to do, whether it's meditation, yoga, working out, grounding, taking the solutions so your cells have the proper voltage and nutrition. Because these elements, all these also have orbitally rearranged monatomic elements. These all have ormus in them. And if you don't know what ormus is, look it up. It's very important. You're born with a lot of these elements, but you don't get them throughout your life. But your body needs them for longevity and health and regeneration. So you can talk to your body. You need to talk to your body. You can, we have amazing quantum physicist guys that are, we have a couple of guys that are quantum physicists that are Buddhist, and they can, they can actually make, zinc in their body and record this, and it's just mind blowing that we can actually, because I play both sides because I'm the scientist, I need to see something, and I also know that frequencies exist and you can do all this. And I'm my own worst devil's advocate because I want to answer everyone's question, and I will give you both sides and show you how it comes together, like we were talking about earlier, the science and the spiritual coming together. And it's all the same, and I love bringing this together. So yes, you can actually get to a state of quantum consciousness that you can create what your body needs. And in the future, you won't need to eat, you won't need to do any of that stuff. Like extraterrestrials only eat for fun. They can basically teletransport any nutrients into their cells immediately. I was privy to some amazing suits, these super suits, while I was in the projects that were transdermally, this is ancient, archaic, by the way, transdermally giving you frequencies and infusing different elements and vitamins and stuff into the body for the soldiers. And that's archaic to me right now, knowing what we can do through frequencies. We can beam in the future, we can beam down frequencies to an entire civilization, a society, let's just say a whole country that's impoverished and starving, and give them nutrients just through frequency. So yes, you can do this. It is something you have to learn, and it's something that I'm not saying it's difficult. I'm saying you have to learn it. You have to gain the knowledge, and you have to get with someone. And I would always ask my couple of my quantum physicist Buddhist guys. I say, hey, come on the show, and they're like, they're just so humble and they're so nice. No, you can. I say, I'm not at that level. You guys are at a level that we can take. You can, fast for a week. I can take your blood right now, and then you're going to go, and I'm going to watch you for 24 hours. You're going to go in the other room, and you're going to conjure up all your zinc and all your colloidals and vitamin C, and he did it with vitamin D. Okay, he wasn't supplementing, and then all of a sudden, all the vitamins came up on his blood, and I was like, now that's where we're going. So yes.
Very cool, and thank you for your time. And I just want to say before we go, from my heart and the heart of my shows to you, thank you for your service to humanity.
Thank you,
It is
Michael.
seen, heard, felt, and appreciated.
Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate you having me on the show, and I appreciate you for having me and all the stuff that you're doing. And thank you, everyone on here. I didn't get to talk to everybody, but thank you for joining in. Like I said, check me out at emerystarlabs.com, and you can reach me on my email at emerystarlabs@gmail.com and emerystarscan@gmail.com if you're interested in the scan. I see Lucky Sarka wants some information. I can explain that to you. Drop me an email and we'll talk. Michael, thank you once again. We'll talk to you
Thank
soon.
you. And we'll talk soon. And thank you to everyone. Have a blessed day, everyone. And we will see you on the next episode. Bye bye.